Hello everyone, my name is Julianna Zinchenko and welcome to my fashion school. Class has begun. On this channel, you will find a ton of sewing content such as sew with me videos and sewing tutorials. I also have sewing patterns to go along with the sewing tutorials to help you guys out. But that's not all we talk about here at my fashion school. And if you've seen my video essays, you already know that. So today I'm going to be getting into my list of everything you will need as a beginner in sewing. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so excited that you have decided to learn how to sew. It is a dying skill and it is such an incredible one.
Here are 3 jobs that are literally disappearing, and if you start them today, they'll make you a lot of money. The first one is seamstresses and tailors. How many young people do you know that really want to become a seamstress or become a tailor? It doesn't exist anymore. People that are doing it right now are making a killing. It's going to be even better in the future because no one wants to get into it. People are always going to need their clothes to be altered. I mean, could you believe that you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars with this thing right here?
I know it can seem super intimidating, but it is a skill I promise you that you will pick up super quick. Once you got the basics down, you'll be able to sew whatever you want. And even better, you can tailor the clothes that you already have, which is so nice, especially today. I don't know about y'all, but every time I order something in the mail, it just like never fits. And it's so nice to have this skill because you can literally make clothes fit you like a second skin. Before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button to know when I have new videos up. Like, share, comment, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok for more fashion and sewing content and much, much more. Let's get into what you need as a beginner in sewing. Now, I wanted to keep this list super condensed because I don't want to overwhelm you guys. So there are some things on this list that I have marked as optional because they are by no means necessary to have, especially if you're just starting out. All of this stuff you can get, of course, at the sewing store, but I will also have my recommendations below.
All right, everyone, get out your notebooks. It's time to take some notes.
The first thing that you will need is, of course, a sewing machine.
Don't overthink this one. They essentially all do the same thing.
Yeah, you could get one that's like $2,000, but it's by no means necessary. I have been using my machine for the past like 8 years, and throughout the past 8 years, my skills have of course improved, and I haven't felt like I needed to get a bigger and better one. You do not need to ball out, just get a basic one, especially in the beginning when you're just learning how to sew. Now, something I wish somebody told me when I started out in sewing is I highly, highly, highly recommend a serger. The reason I recommend a serger is because it will make your garments look super professional, and it's just really nice to use. Like, it cuts the fabric as you sew it, and it just looks so clean and nice on the inside because it's serged. But it is by no means necessary. There are stitches on the sewing machine that mimic a stitch from a serger.
Before I move on to the rest of the list, something to keep in mind is that sewing machines come with a little kit that include some of the things that you see here, and some of these supplies are on my list. So what I would do is get the sewing machine first and then check off all of the things that you already have that come in the sewing kit. For example, if this is what your sewing kit looks like, you can check off clippers, you can check off seam ripper, and you can check off bobbins. Those 3 things are on my list, and this is really nice because you don't have to buy these things separately.
The next thing I would recommend is a sewing pattern. A sewing pattern is not like a pattern on your clothes. It is basically a blueprint that consists of the shapes that you will need to cut the fabric out of in order to make the desired garment. And it also will have a bunch of different sizes for you to choose from. Another thing that's really nice about sewing patterns is it comes with step-by-step instructions on how to create the garment. You can either go to Joann's or your local sewing store, or you can find a ton online, especially on Etsy, that are downloadable so you can have them right away and you can print them out on your home printer. I have my own downloadable sewing patterns that you can get in my Etsy shop, which I will have linked below. Next on our list is, of course, fabric.
If you're gonna learn how to sew, you're gonna
need some fabric to sew together to create the garment of your dreams. The next thing on our list is needles. You will need hand sewing needles and machine needles. There are different needles for different types of fabric. When you go to the store, you will see the different machine needles and they will say it right on the package what it is meant for. Some are meant for jeans, some are meant for leather, some are meant for jersey knits like this shirt right here.
Keep in mind your sewing machine comes with needles and they will be universal needles. Universal needles can be used with a wide variety of fabrics. But like I said, if you're gonna sew leather or jeans, you're gonna wanna get a different needle for that. Or if you are using a universal needle and you find yourself having trouble with the stitches coming out correctly, that could be a sign that you need to switch up your needle.
And then hand sewing needles. Of course, we love the sewing machine to do as much work for us as possible, but it's inevitable. You're going to have to hand sew at some point. The next thing on our list is pins. This will help you to not only pin your fabric pieces together, so it'll make it super easy while you're sewing, but you will also use pins to pin your sewing pattern to the fabric so that it keeps it nice and flat while you cut it and it won't move around. The next thing on our list is all-purpose polyester thread. If you're gonna sew, you're gonna need thread. Next thing on our list is a seam ripper. I have been sewing since I was probably 8 years old, and I still to this day make mistakes. A seam ripper will help you backtrack if you've made a mistake. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is a tool that will help you easily cut through seams.
Remember, a seam ripper usually comes with a sewing machine, so you can check this one off your list.
Next on our list
is bobbins. A bobbin is a teeny spool of thread that sits in the bottom of your sewing machine. This is one of those things that should already be in your sewing kit that comes with your sewing machine, so you can check this one off the list. With that being said, every time you switch out your thread for a new color, you're going to need a bobbin that matches that color. So you're going to end up needing a lot of bobbins, so it's always good to have more.
Next thing on our list is fabric markers and chalk. You can mark up your fabric as much as you need to help you as you sew your garment, and it's really easy to get rid of. You just put water on your fabric and poof, it's gone. The next thing on our list is shears. Now, shears are fabric scissors. The scissors that you cut your sewing pattern with are not the same scissors you cut your fabric with. I saw a meme the other day and it said something like, I used my mom's fabric scissors to cut wrapping paper and now the cops are here. As they should be.
You never want to cut paper with fabric scissors because it will dull them.
With shears, you need to make sure you're sharpening them. Shears are really nice because they're super, super sharp scissors that will easily cut through fabric. Once you get them, you will understand they are so satisfying to use. Next thing on our list is
regular scissors. You will need regular scissors to cut everything that isn't fabric or thread. For example, your sewing pattern.
Next on our list is a measuring tape. You're gonna do tons and tons and tons of measuring. I've had to force myself to get really good at fractions and math because that's all you will be doing in sewing. The next thing on our list is clippers, which are teeny scissors that you use to cut threads.
Remember, clippers usually come with a sewing machine, so you can check this off your list.
The next thing on our list is tweezers, which is optional, but they help out a lot. It can be hard sometimes to thread a sewing machine with just your fingers alone. They get in the way a lot and there's a lot of like teeny little things you gotta get to, and having tweezers makes it so much easier. But like I said, they're not necessary. Most sewing machines today actually have like a little hook that you can like put the thread on and then push down a lever and it will just automatically thread the thread through the needle all by itself. So that's really nice. Next on our list is a pin cushion, and I wanted to mark this one optional just because pins do come in like a little box. and you can just keep putting them back in the box and taking them out of the box as you use them. But I do recommend a pin cushion. It's just so easy and so nice to just pop your pins in them. And there are tons of different kinds. I have the tomato, and I also have one that hangs on my wrist so that the pins are easily accessible as you're working or you're tailoring something. Those are very nice. Also, fun fact, this little guy right here that's attached to the tomato pin cushion that you can pretty much find literally at any sewing store. You will find this guy, he will be there. But what it's actually used for is to sharpen your pin. So it doesn't have the same material as this big tomato. Next on our list is rulers, preferably clear rulers. They help a lot when measuring seam allowances and sewing patterns, or just getting nice, clean, straight lines. Highly recommend. Next on our list is a cutting mat, and I wanted to put this one as optional just because I just don't think it's necessary in the beginning. I have a table that I sew on, and it doesn't really get scratched or scuffed up. So if you have a table like that, you don't really need a cutting mat. But going to the next item on our list, if you want to cut with a rotary cutter, which is another option on cutting, is having a cutting mat on a table and then using a rotary cutter. It basically just looks like a pizza cutter. So if you want to cut like that, you will 100% need a cutting mat. Like I just said, the next thing on our list is a rotary cutter. You can get these at your local Joann's. The thing about these is that you will need to keep replacing the blade. I don't usually cut with rotary cutters, so it's definitely up to you and what you prefer. Next on our list is a tracing wheel
and tracing paper.
You will be using these when you want to transfer markings from a sewing pattern onto your fabric. For example, darts. I wanted to put this as optional just because I don't think it's completely necessary. I have transferred darts using pins before, or just making little markings on my own. But if you are a beginner, it does make things very easy. And that's the thing I really want to stress to you guys, is when you're starting out, you want to get the right equipment to make it an easy and seamless experience. So even though I do have some of these things as optional, it is nice to have more supplies because it will just make the process so much easier. And last on our list is a sewing box to hold all of this stuff in. The biggest thing I want to stress to you, and something that I wish somebody told me starting out, is being organized is so important in sewing. Not even gonna lie, guys, I used to be a little bit of a sewing mess. I used to sew with this older woman. I would go over to her house. She helped me sew my prom dress because I had never sewn a gown before, and I really wanted the help of somebody who knew more than me. And she would tell me, like, you are a messy sewer, like you need to get that together. And years later, I have finally got that together. And like I said, you're just starting out, you want your experience to be easy. All right, y'all, end of class. Thank you for joining me today. Stay tuned for more sewing content and video essays. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell button to know when I have new videos up. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok for more fashion and sewing content. Thank you for enrolling at my fashion school and being such a good listener. If you have any questions below, please do not hesitate to comment, or you can DM me on Instagram. It's really easy once you get the basics down. You will succeed and you will thrive. I'm so excited. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Love you.